Hey, let's talk about free versus paid marketing funnels. Okay, first of all, what is a funnel? A funnel is this ice cream cone. It's kind of too big, can be smaller. Or do this way. Okay, that's a funnel. Thanks for coming to my talk. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so free versus paid funnels. Okay, free funnel. This is a core marketing concept that everybody needs to understand, basically, no matter what. And probably a lot of the people that are listening to this already have some ideas, so I gotta provide more value than that. So, this can actually be the same thing, but the idea is that the so a customer comes in at this point, okay? So at the top of the funnel. So top of funnel resources should always be very easy for people to find, like YouTube, ads or advertising. What are some other ones? Word of mouth, right? Review sites. Or social media. Although I put social media last because I think people overvalue social media. I think it's very saturated as a top of line funnel now. I think YouTube is probably the best funnel that I can think of. And then the next one is advertising, like paid ads, I think. There's just two, like you can still do it and you can still drive people into free funnels via like Twitter and Instagram. But it's so difficult to do because there's just so many people competing and so many people like that are trying to beat the algorithm, not just to like make money, but also for clout and everything. So you're just like competing with the entire world to try to do it. So I don't like those sites. So these are like the top of funnel type of things. And we'll put these in a circle. And then we're going to do down here, we're going to do like bottom funnel stuff. So this would be like Patreon. That's for like content creators or educators or entertainers. Product, course, service of some kind, and put those in another bubble. Could be like an Etsy, could be anything like that. So, what you want to do is you want to get people introduced to you via the easiest means possible, and basically the lowest resistance possible. Okay. So lowest resistance possible is top of funnel. And then bottom of funnel is going to be super high value. So for a very long time, my top of funnel marketing, and this is not like, this is a conscious process, but I'm not like thinking this in, for me specifically, I'm thinking of it, but I don't primarily use my my own social media, my own like brand as a means of like primary income generation. But I think this still applies. So just like keep that caveat that I will make some compromises. For example, like I could be doing a lot of different stuff like running paid ads or things like that. And I'll make some compromises because I don't view Devin Nash the brand as a primary form of income. So because of that, I may not have as many top of funnel things as someone else would need if it was primary. So keep that caveat in mind as I go forward with this. Okay. So YouTube for me is my top of funnel marketing. So I create hopefully high value YouTube videos that drive new users. And for a long time, the main CTA, so that's a call to action. The main call to action was to Twitch. So and Discord. So my two goals were to get people to watch my Twitch stream and to get people to Discord. Thank God that I had the Discord goal because that ended up being so much more valuable. At the end of the day, I think, and this is going to come as a haunting thought, basically all of the marketing that I've ever done to drive people to my Twitch stream is essentially useless compared to had I done top of funnel marketing to drive people into like a Patreon earlier, or obviously a course, though I have some ethical concerns about that, so I don't do it. But had I done that in the beginning, I would have had a much more a very successful more successful brand. So keep in mind that some of the free funnel, like top of funnel stuff, can also in of itself be rewarding. So and you're going to see this like more and more. For example, YouTube. There are plenty of people that this is the funnel. Their YouTube is both a means of self-discovery as well as a paid funnel as well. It's not like, so they can be both too. Like you could use advertising to drive people towards a product, and your advertising just is the thing that drives most of your revenue. You could use word of mouth. You could use review websites, right? And you could get paid to post reviews on those websites. On Twitter, there's increasingly you're seeing on like Instagram and Twitter that there are monetization models that are coming up here that are more and more popular. So don't think that just because these are free funnels, free meaning they're free to you to use and the customer to consume, that you can't get paid for them. You can. So you should be monetizing everywhere, but like this, it's very, very possible to monetize up here. Okay, so the concept is that for the DevNash brand, using this as the analogy, right? A user finds my videos usually through recommended or something and decides to subscribe. So the subscription is the first entry into the funnel. After you've subscribed, you're here, okay? And represented by that blue line. After you've subscribed, and then the like teal line here will be at this point you're watching quite a few of my videos. You may be familiar with me by kind of like my general concept. So at the blue line here, you'll know nothing about me. And at the teal line, you'll know that I am like a content creator that focuses on like business and like lifestyle stuff. And that's good. So what I'm doing through this entire process as I go down is as I'm building trust. Okay. So the more time that elapses where there's a lot of value, the more value I'm getting or giving to that person. And then at this level, at the green line, at this point, you're very familiar with the stuff that I do, and you may be even so familiar that you're willing to support it at some level. Okay, so for me, that would be like a Patreon. But for example, one of the things I've always wanted to do, but I have ethics concerns about it, is a business writing course. I think that I try to think of things like, okay, what's like the most valuable thing that I could like provide that I really understand? It's like business writing is like so important. But I have a lot of ethical concerns against it. But like, let's say that I did a course, right? At this point, maybe whatever that course costs, you'd be willing to buy it because you've watched 10 to 15 of my videos, you've consumed some clips, you've seen me on a podcast or two, and you know at that point that I'm providing enough value. So to you, that you would trust that course would provide value, that I would be a person of enough integrity that not just sell you dog shit, right? And you would know that if you put your money towards that, it would be worth it. So the Patreon model, which is like what I've switched to recently, which is basically the main way that I am going to be monetizing paid funnels in the future, is just trusting people that they get a lot of value out of Patreon. Now, a lot of Patrons, they don't necessarily provide a lot of value with the Patreon themselves. I plan to. So I'm making videos that are like in of themselves valuable. So somebody might toss like $25 just for the free stuff that they get from the YouTube, just to say, hey, I really love the kind of stuff that you're doing. And I'm willing to put something towards it, right? Which is great. But then I want them to get value on top of that, which would be amazing. Okay. So, but in the same exact way, I could also drive that a paid funnel towards like a product or course or service. Like this is all like, as long as you're providing value. But like the thing you have to remember about your paid funnels is your paid funnels always need to provide. This is my internal metric for this success, is like 5 to 10x the value of whatever somebody is paying. So if I set a baseline of $5, then that needs to provide 10 times the value of that in my mind, meaning like that needs to be worth $50 to them. If somebody pays $25, you can see that needs to be $250, and so on and so on. So this is hard to do. Like at some level, you're providing an enormous amount of value if you're selling like a course for like $200 to $300, like that better be a multi-mentor level course with like tons of videos that better solve the problem like one shot that they're having. Otherwise, you will people will like tolerate lower quality stuff from you. They'll tolerate ROIs below this. Like if somebody gets like twice their value out of it, they might feel pretty good. But you want to like really wow people. If you sell like low quality products, then you're pushing people back up the funnel and eventually out of the funnel, because eventually what'll happen is like they'll lose trust in you. So they'll say, okay, the last like few, and this like happens all the time, like in every kind of business. Like let's say that you go to a restaurant and you're like, okay, I'll have this food, and you're like blown away by it. You're like, wow, this is really good. And you go back and it's like really good again. And you're like, oh my God, you're getting deeper, deeper into this funnel. And now you're like recommending this restaurant to your friends, things like that. Let's say you go there and you have like a really bad experience. Well, if you've been there a few times, you probably will still go back, or you might take it up with like the waiters or things like that. But if you consistently have a bad enough experience, you will not go to that place again. And then you'll have a worse experience of that restaurant than you would have if you never went there at all. Okay. So this is an important marketing concept, which means like, let's say that you had 3 consecutive bad experiences at a place that you used to like. You're going to tell everybody how bad that place was. Like, yeah, this place used to be good, went downhill, right? So same thing, right? Devin Nash, like his YouTube videos used to be fire. I used to get tons of value out of them. I signed up for his Patreon. It was really good. And like now he sells like courses. And if he's selling a bunch of $200 courses, and I logged in and it was 2 videos, and it's just him like slamming his head against the desk, like saying thank you for paying me $200, right? Like you would tell everybody that, okay? And then like before long, your reputation would be completely tarnished, right? My reputation would be completely tarnished, rightfully so, because I wouldn't be providing that value. So be very careful about your paid platforms. My Patreon was years in the making, right? Like I really, really had to think about how I would provide value here before I started doing it. I think I overcorrect. So like I would encourage, but I would encourage people to be less less anal about it than I am, but still like the statement stands, right? So the first lesson that you need to know in like free versus paid funnels is you need to create these funnels. So you need to have an internal structure in your mind of like, what am I do I have these funnels? Do these exist? So like draw this funnel for yourself in your business, and like let's say you're running a retail business or restaurant. Okay, what's your top of funnel? Well, it's walk-ins, right? Location. And for a lot of restaurants, that's just the end of it. They just, that's all they do. And a lot of restaurants go out of business. A lot of businesses go out of business because it's just walk-ins, right? If you have an incredible location, then okay, like that could be enough, and that's your entire business. A lot of people make plenty of money that way. But you can look at advertising. You can look at word of mouth. You can look at review websites. You can look at events, right? You can look at social media, Instagram. Instagram is a fantastic platform for retail businesses, for example, because you can pay some incredibly low amount of money, sometimes the price of a free dinner, which costs you next to nothing, just to get somebody in the door and post on their 100 to 200 user Instagram account. But all 100 of those users are people that are local and friends of theirs, right? So there's enormous ways to market at top of funnel that people don't think about. And every single business is vulnerable to this. Even me, like there's no business I've ever found. Actually, there's one. The only person I know on the internet that is top of funnel perfectly is Gary Vaynerchuk. And he has a team of 12 people working 24/7 to syndicate his content to every possible top of funnel platform you can get. That guy is a madman, right? So nobody should strive to be that good at it. You should strive to have a focused effort of like 2 to 3, I'd say 3 maximum, like free funnels, unless you're so sophisticated in your business already that you know to tell me that I'm wrong. So if you're sitting here and saying, I feel like I should have more than that, and like you're putting up the revenue, and then you good, right? Then I trust you. But otherwise, like if you're like, I think, for example, Novo, the company, has 1 top of funnel, right? Well, 2, yeah, which is word of mouth, which is really important to agencies, because we're and that might seem like it's not very powerful, but I have a rule with every salesperson that we have in the company, and this is an incredible marketing rule, where you say, okay, for every single person at the end of the client relationship, so if you've signed a contract, you've done a deal, number 1, how do we do? Number 2, is there someone else in the industry that you can recommend would benefit from this? And that has gotten us a ton of word of mouth. So top of funnel for Novo is word of mouth, and number 2 is just straight up YouTube. It's my brand, which was intentional. It was like marketing and giving information on authority in content creation makes my agency an authority on content creation by proxy. And this is an idea that Gary Vaynerchuk has done as well for VaynerMedia, and to great success, $900 million advertising firm. And it's very hard to be an individual that stands in front of their business as an authority. And it's also very dangerous because if you mess it up, then your business is gone too. So there's a high risk, high reward scenario there. But those are top of funnel. I don't use like review websites or any kind of like direct outreach, outbound sales type of things to like reach like influence through that. We do use outbound sales so email would be top of funnel as well for us. I guess there's 3. But that's pretty recent. Anyway, drop down into paid funnels, which is a service in our case. In my case, it's Patreon and whatever else like my newsletter or whatever else I decide to do. Okay, so once you understand this concept, you should have 3 free, let's say 3 free funnels, I think. And then I would drop those down into 1 paid funnel, and I make those a ratio. So 6 to 2, 3 to 1. And you can if some of those are grossly outperforming. So let's say that like your free funnel, like YouTube, you have like 2 to 3 million subscribers. You're the biggest vulnerability of most content creators and YouTubers is that they're just not utilizing those users in any way. Like they're getting ad revenue from them, sometimes only, which is crazy to me. Like anybody that is above 10,000 subscribers should be thinking very seriously about how to engage and use those users. And likewise, in any kind of business or anything like that, you should be thinking about that as well. So most people are super, super gun shy on this, and they're just like not engaging their users. That's like a key problem. This is like notorious also on Twitch. Like, oh my God, you have no data on your users at all on Twitch. Like if you have 500,000 to like 1 million followers on Twitch, and the only way you can contact them is through the start streaming button and maybe Discord, like what are you doing? This is like so bad, right? Whereas you could really easily create an email list with something that your moderators could do, as simple as like a top 5 like best plays list or whatever like that. Okay, there's like tons and tons of things you could do like that. So I could go on and on about like how this thought process works. Like suffice to say that the thing to think about here is just like how the creation of this funnel makes sense, and how you structure this funnel. So you should like get a piece of paper, draw this funnel for yourself, and then figure out what levels of this you do have. And then also you should figure out how much trust, or I call it equity also, do I need to build? So equity is a little bit different from trust. Trust means like, I believe that this person is trying to steer me in the right direction. Trust can also be an entertainment value thing, right? I'm not just speaking about educational content. Trust can be, I trust this person to provide me a good time every time I go to their broadcast or every time I go to their business, right? If you're an entertainer, or I trust this person to serve me good food every time I go to their restaurant, or I trust this person to program good code every time that I use their service, or good consulting, okay? Like all those things apply. So trust is that, but equity is something different. Like equity is like a personal feeling that you have built into somebody. I believe in this person enough that I want to invest in them, or I want to kick back and throw their support at some support back. Equity is very hard to build, and I think it's only built through authentic value. I think you can't game the equity system, nor should you. I think you should always provide as much value as you possibly can, whether that value is like infotainment or entertainment or whatever have you in content creation, or the actual product and service that you have should be good. So think about how much trust and how much equity is built getting down this funnel, and make sure that like you're not putting your product offering like up here, okay? Because on this line, because if you put it here, what will like your paid offering, and then you'll see people make this mistake where they'll be like, hey guys, like before you watch my YouTube video, like go buy my thing. Like, well, I don't know you, right? Like I haven't built that equity or trust with you yet. So you have not demonstrated yet that that you're worthwhile. Way too many people are putting their paid stuff like way too soon. And I always say that like your first 10,000 to 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, for example, you shouldn't think about, maybe 100,000. You should not think about paid at all. Like just collect money off ads, do your stuff, add value. Same with like every platform. Don't even think about it at all. Sure, it's great if you get some ad revenue. Don't think about monetizing it. Just think about adding value. The vast majority of your first like product or service offerings could be free for review, and just make sure it's good and that people like really like it before you offer it to the public. Like, oh, this goes on and on for all products and services. because if you put it top of funnel too fast, then you blow out your quality, remove any opportunity for trust and equity, and people won't buy from you again. So it's really, really important to think about like, okay, at what point am I putting this like paid funnel? Because like nobody wants a 5 viewer streamer to be shouting for subscribers. That like you should never be talking about that. And like I never had a period of time where I begged for subscribers. It didn't matter how big I got, right? Like whether I was at 5,000 viewers or 500 or 50, at no point in time did I ever ask for it. And I was always taken care of because I focused on value first. So figure out how long it takes for people to get down this funnel roughly. And you don't need to have like, depending on like how data driven your business is, you don't need to have like a very dedicated idea of that. I have like a general idea, spiritual idea of it in general. And ultimately it reflects on like how many people are buying or trusting your product or service, right? But yeah, in general, you should have an idea of like how long it takes to get down this funnel with people getting down to the bottom. Just make sure that that's like where an enormous amount of value is, like your absolute best stuff, highest quality stuff. But also don't skip on the top funnel either, right? You got to be providing value there too. So if it sounds hard, it's because it is. That's why most businesses aren't successful. Most people aren't successful. But thinking about this in this way and strategizing it, I think can be helpful to anybody. Cool. So I hope this was helpful. See you again next time.